Hello everyone. Welcome to something a little bit different. If you know me or watch any of my videos, you know I tend to think outside the box a lot of times. Well, we have a box right here that probably contains things that we can use in Locksport. This is a computer. I don't use it anymore, it's defective. But you can still use the case and parts of it, if you wanted to rebuild a computer, but I'm beyond that. So one of the first things we run into is there is a little locking thing here for people used to steal the memory boards. They would go in, pop these screws off, in a cubicle and steal the memory boards out of computers at workstations and stuff like that, offices, and thieves would actually come through, and sometimes employees themselves would do that. So a lot of times they would put little, not one of these, this is actually probably better. This is a little new old stock Yale. But one of the first things that you encounter are the screws when you take the screws off. And if you measure these screws, we're going to go with millimeters. The screw head is 3.32 millimeters. All right. If you cut the head off, now this is not a good example. I'm actually going for smaller ones in there. But if you cut the head off and then ground those down a little bit, you would have a perfect serrated pin, serrated driver. So that's one thing. If the computer did have a lock on it or whatever, and it was thrown away, a lot of times it used to be you could find computers thrown away. Somebody didn't want to mess with them, they were so cheap or whatever, they would just toss it in the dumpster. Like I said, this was mine. I bought it. I worked for Intel. I used to build computers. I was at the beginning of the internet age and everything. I studied electronics in the military in 1975. They taught me not only digital electronics, but vacuum tube, because some of our equipment was using vacuum tube. So this is a wafer lock. I don't know if you can see that very well. Wafer locks are fairly easy to pick. They kind of pick like pin tumblers. We call it single wafer picking when you do it, but when you're going like this, they respond well to things like snowman, ball rakes, a broken pick, a flat tension wrench. They they usually don't have a problem with oversetting. As a matter of fact, there's a way of picking it where you overlift them. I haven't practiced that much. I think Lockpicking Belfast mentioned that. You overlift every one of the pins, and this one's putting up a pretty good fight. Mr. Yale, new old stock, is putting up a pretty good fight. But yeah, you usually can't overset them too much, and you will get like slight turns when they're, or clicks and stuff when you set them. You can find like binders. Our story may not, there we go. See, our story may come to an end because I couldn't get past the wafer lock. But there you go. So if you had a lock, right there would be your chance right there to have a little lock for your collection. All right, so I've already taken the screws off. I'm going to take the cover off. I'm going to pause this because I'm taking too much time yammering, but I'm going to pause it in between things that I'm doing. All right, so it was just a slide off side cover. Didn't have to take the whole thing off. There's a lot of dust and wire, and there's not a whole lot in here that you would want, but the hard drives have a magnet in the heads, so that's what I'm going after on the hard drives. Also, the DVD burners. I had 2 DVD burners in here. If you look on YouTube, you can find how to make a burning laser. It's kind of dangerous. You don't want to give it to your kids and stuff like that. the cat chasing the laser dot. It'll be the laser dot burning a hole through the back of the cat's head. It's not super powerful, but I mean, if you do the focusing beam and everything just right, I think Waddock, he has a green one. I don't think he made it like that, but he has a green one that he lights matches and stuff with, or he used to do it a lot. So, anyways, that's one thing that you can do with the laser diode on those DVDs, and you got the magnets that you got in the hard drives. And the only other thing that you can really use probably would be any components on the circuit board that are small enough to be drivers that look like spools, like maybe if you had old school resistors. But this motherboard looks like it's mostly surface mount with capacitors, being the tallest thing that stick up, and they're really too big, and we can't use them for Locksport intentions for what I'm going to use it for. Unless you're making some kind of stun gun or something like that. They're pretty small capacitors, so all you really need most of the time is a Phillips screwdriver or a common screwdriver. Sometimes will work, but a Phillips screwdriver is usually better. Here's another screw. Now see this little brass head and everything? You can use that on some kind of like tension tool or something, so that's a goodie. It's a little knurled and everything. You could use it on a little pick wire or something else. So already, see, we found something we didn't think we'd find. I'm just checking these screws to see if I can get one small enough diameter to become a serrated pin. Now that one, look at the threads on that. Let's see if we can zoom in on him. Look at that. That's nice. You can just take a little cut-off wheel on a Dremel and zip this head off, and it's small enough to be a driver. I'm just looking for my calipers that I had out here. Well, anyways, we're setting that guy as a possibility. I think he's going to work. I think that's like 2 millimeter or less. Let me pause this while I go find where the calipers ran away to. They were hiding. They decided to run off and hide, so let's see what we get on this one. Oh yeah, perfect. See? 2.9394. So you don't have to do any filing down or anything. You're going to be able to keep those nice sharp edges, and all you got to do is just cut off the head. You could hold it with a pair of pliers right here, needle nose pliers or something, and just bench grinder, which is probably the way I'm going to do it. Bench grinder the crap out of the head until it's gone. So there you go, you got that. See what kind of goodies? We already found 2 security pins in there, plus a little tension tool, plus look at this new old stock EL that was on there. Actually, I put that on there for this little adventure, but and yeah, that's really low security because it's really just a tiny piece of metal on the side of the cabinet here that you could just wiggle back and forth with a needle nose plier and break it off, and you wouldn't even have to have spent the time it took to pick that. So let me pause this a little bit further. So here we just have a video graphics board. There's a whole series on salvaging and scrapping things. You know, you can salvage the aluminum from this heat sink. It's cast aluminum. The little fan and little motor, that can actually be used in something. It's just a simple little motor. Here's all the surface mount components and everything. Not much you can do with those except if you desoldered some of the slightly bigger ones, you might be able to drop them in as weird little drivers, but they'd have a problem with jamming up in the stack and everything. So as far as Locksport's related, there's not much we can do with one of these. I took the screw out on the top already, but it was one of those bigger 3.5 millimeters. So we're going to know the status of that. Alright, so here's the hard drive pack. This is basically just sitting down like this. You take the screw off, take the screwdriver, pry it up. Then to get the hard drives themselves out, you have to remove these screws on the side. Over here. I added these hard drives to give it extra capacity back in the day. This is not a real old computer. Like I said, there's surface mount stuff in here. I'll go ahead and pause this because I don't want to take too much. Alright, so this is what we're after. The hard drives. This is mainly what I was wanting to tear it apart. That and maybe the DVD in there. Could maybe make a burner circuit. But yeah. This is a Seagate 200 gigabyte. Woo, 200 gigabytes. This is a Maxtor 0ATA 200 gigabyte. Also, yeah, so I'm going to tear these apart. There's little screws. You should usually never do this to them because they're sealed and everything when they're operating. But like I said, these are salvage. We're going to tear this apart just to get the magnets. That's all I want, magnets. These are not normal screw heads on here. They're star head. Takes a T10. Thought they had me stumped, huh? But nah, I got the right one. So, in conclusion, I'm trying to pry the stupid head off of this hard drive and everything. I see the heads there. But you know what? Unless you're really desperate, it's not worth it. I mean, unless you got nothing better to do, it's not worth all the effort. You can just go get some screws at a hardware store, you know, if you've got the money. And the stuff in here is ancient, archaic, pain in the butt. And look, I just beat on it. I couldn't even get the damn cover off. Something's attached over here. Whoops. They're all the little screws I was trying to get out of it anyway. Oh, this is the way it's supposed to work, but I'm prying the hell out of it. This is your platter. You're not supposed to do that to it. And there's your heads behind there. And those usually have magnets on them. Or they're magnetic. But yeah, it's not worth it. That's all I'm trying to say. No, that's not the heads over there. The heads are probably over here. And you gotta take all these little screws off. So, like I said, it's not worth it. But if you ever wanted to know what was inside there, and not all thinking outside the box plans are successful or 100% successful, anything like that. So yeah, this is better off just probably, even as a boat anchor, maybe a little fish could go in here, you know, and make a little nest. Algae would grow in and everything, and protect them from the bigger predators and stuff. So yeah, sorry about that. Thought it was going to be something really interesting, but not as interesting as it should have been. There you go. We'll look at the wall of locks for a second. I was messing with these earlier today, putting screws and stuff up there. I started counting. I wasn't quite sure how many locks I got, and just over there in that section over there, I'd already gotten to almost 100. And I hadn't even counted up in the top and everything, so I went, I've got quite a few locks now.